The Texas General Land Office is responsible for managing about 13 million acres of state lands, but the Land Commissioner's job is more related to public education. If you're scratching your head, let me explain. Established in 1836, it is the state's oldest agency. The Land Commissioner oversees millions of acres of Texas land and coastal waters. They decide on how it's used for things like oil and gas production, grazing, and renewable energy. So where does education come in? Well, it's the Land Commissioner's job to use money earned off the land, especially those oil and gas royalties, to feed the Permanent School Fund. This helps support K-12 public schools, backs school construction bonds, and reduces the amount taxpayers have to fork over. With 367 miles of Gulf beaches and more than 3,300 miles of shoreline surrounding bays and estuaries, Texas has one of the longest coastlines in the country. And it's all managed and preserved by the Land Commissioner's office. So we can enjoy it, but also make money off of its solar and wind power. When natural disasters hit, they're responsible for distributing billions in federal disaster relief funds to help rebuild homes and communities. And for the last 15 years, the Land Commissioner's office manages the Alamo. Bottom line, it's a big job with a very big footprint. So who do you want to be the state's landlord?
So what if I told you the Texas Railroad Commission doesn't actually run Texas railroads? What they are is one of the most powerful regulatory agencies in the entire country, and here's why. You see, back in the late 1800s, the Railroad Commission really was about railroads, keeping trains on tracks and commerce moving, but over time the job went underground, literally. Today, the commission regulates oil pipelines, gas production, and drilling across the state. Their main goal is to protect the environment and the state's natural resources while keeping the energy industry in check. And one of the commissioner's jobs is making sure drillers don't get a little too close to someone else's wells. They also settle disputes between energy companies when they go head-to-head. In plain English, though, the Texas Railroad Commission watches over our oil, gas, utilities, propane, hazardous liquids, and critical energy infrastructure, even coal and, yes, uranium mining. They also help enforce major federal laws like the Clean Water Act, Safe Drinking Act, the pipeline safety rules. And as for who runs the whole thing, well, railroad commissioners are elected statewide for 6-year terms, and they're staggered so that there's always one on the ballot every 2 years. The commissioners choose their own chair, and if someone leaves early, the governor fills their seat. So no, they don't run the railroads anymore, but when it comes to Texas energy, they're a pretty big deal.
Instead of talking about the candidate, let's talk about the job description. What type of powers does the Texas governor really have? They have what's called legislative power. They can sign bills into law or veto them. They can also call special sessions, like we saw last year when we had 2 following the regular session. The governor also appoints around 3,000 executive positions. That includes members of state boards, commissions, councils, and task forces. On top of that, the governor plays a major role in planning the state budget and serves as commander-in-chief of the Texas National Guard. They can also grant pardons and commute sentences. But there are checks and balances. Texas uses what's called a plural executive system, meaning several key state leaders are elected separately to limit how much control any one person has over the executive branch. So who will run Texas? That's up for you to decide on primary election day, March 3rd.
A Texas rep in the U.S. House works for you in Washington, in the halls of Congress, not at the Texas Capitol. A member of Congress writes, debates, and votes on national laws that affect the entire community. Things like taxes, immigration, healthcare, infrastructure, and national security. They also decide how federal money is spent. Highways, disaster relief, veteran services, border security, and programs that send money back to Texas communities. Each congressperson speaks for about 750,000 Texans, and many offices help people who need Social Security assistance, VA benefits, or FEMA aid. And their term limit is 2 years, so they're always on the ballot and always accountable to the voters. Who do you want representing you in Washington? The choice is yours this election day.
So what exactly is a comptroller? And is it pronounced comptroller or controller? Believe it or not, it's actually controller, but either way works. What do they do though? Well, they keep Texas's books. Yeah, the comptroller runs one of the biggest state agencies and serves as Texas's chief financial officer, part tax collector, accountant, treasurer, and then some. Forget balancing a checkbook. They manage more than $50 billion in state assets. Texas doesn't have a state income tax, so this office collects sales, business, and motor vehicle taxes from over 1,700 local governments. The comptroller also sets state budget boundaries, and before each legislative session, they perform a biennial revenue estimate, or BRE, telling lawmakers how much money they can spend on things like schools, healthcare, and public safety. And believe it or not, that's not all. The office also oversees college savings programs, unclaimed property, energy conservation, and even helps keep tobacco out of kids' hands. So, with all of that in mind, who do you want running Texas's books? Well, you can decide. Primary elections are March 3rd.